Dear and respected all the participants, most welcome for this new session of Art and Architectural Heritage of India. I humbly welcome to our today's resource person, architect T.S. Pongumati ji. And before starting the session, first I want to introduce about her because first of all, just I want to say that she was completed her short-term course South Indian Art and Architecture, and as I requested in that session, if anyone is ready or to deliver their lecture regarding our Indian heritage, they can contact with us. So after that, uh, उन्होंने खुद होकर के ये अपनी इच्छा she wished to join with us. So really, it's a privilege for all of us. So humbly thank
Thank you,
you,
sir.
Ji. And
Thank you,
now
sir. Thank you
I
so
want to
much.
introduce about her. She had completed her architecture graduation from PSA Coimbatore University. Then she passed out to Masters of Architecture from Excel College of Architecture and Planning of Anna University. Then she started her professional experience work as a practical training internship in Tirunelveli, and then as a freelancing for PSC Associates, then as a junior architect, then as an assistant professor in Kalasalingam School of Architecture. Then, as a professional work, she started work as a principal architect in Studio 28 Architects. And as I went her through her this resume, she got an awards like the Teaching Excellence Award in 2015 and 17. So this is an really interesting thing. And again, she had presented her research papers and contributed her writings in different research journals. So this today's session is also one of interesting session because this is an one new area for all of us. And now I humbly request to Pangumati ji, please start today.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the introduction. And good evening, all. Myself, as sir said, I'm architect Pongomati. And for today's session, we'll have a small discussion. It's not like a class and all. Thank you for giving this opportunity, sir, because I have read so much of your, like, many of your short classes and all. And I was so much interested in classes in this kind of forum, because it's actually a mixed forum, and I have not met these people before also. So it's a new experience for me also. So thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And let me start with the presentation. Hope my screen is visible now.
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir. So this is all about a small discussion on climate responsible design principles in Dravidian temples. So for that, I have taken Nellaiappar temple. It's Nellaiappar temple, which is in Tirunelveli, that is southern part of Tamil Nadu. It's actually my hometown, and
Sorry for the
I
interrupt.
was
Please click on
yes.
hide. Beside of the stop sharing, there is a hide. So please
Okay,
click on
sure.
that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Please continue.
No problem, sir. No problem. So it is actually based upon a case study which I have done in with the Nellaiappar temple, and it is actually located in Tirunelveli, that is southern part of Tamil Nadu. Many of you are not known about this place. It's actually a southern end of Tamil Nadu, and this temple is an Pandyan architecture marvel, and we are just going to see like how the design, the climatic principles have been incorporated in the planning of the temple. So this paper will be about this session will be divided into two parts. It's like the first one will be about the evolution of different worshipping spaces. The reason why I'm telling it as a worshipping spaces is that I don't need to call it as a temple space. So when we say temple, that terminology will relate more with the Hindu architecture. So I thought worshipping spaces will be the correct term for it. So because when before the term the Hindu architecture, Hinduism and all, like before it being coined, all these temples were there. So, and like how it evolved, from what all structures the temple structures have been evolved. So it is a small discussion on that. So for that reason only I'm saying the first part is about the evolution of worshipping spaces, and the second part of the session will be about the case study of the Nellaiappar temple. So that will be based on the climatic principles of it. So before, we'll start with the first part. And as we know, like temple structures is not only meant for worshipping and all, it is also to be a gathering space in olden times, I'm saying. So the people used to come, they used to sit, they used to talk, they used to have a family meetings over there in days of festivals and rituals and all, they used to gather in the temple. So it was very vibrant in those days. So it is actually a place where, because they don't have any other entertainment to be done on in those times of period. So so they come, they see the sculptures. So that is the reason why the sculptures of the temple depict many lifestyles of the people. We can see a marriage scenario in the sculptures of the temple. You see how the people used to do hunting and all, and how different phases of life will be depicted in the sculptures of the temple. So that is the reason why, because people used to come, go around the temple, they used to visit all those things, and they used to get, as we go now, we go to the movies, we see the pictures and all, so we picturize and it's something else. So similarly, they used to go to the temples, they see the sculptures, and they get knowledge about the things happening. So getting back to the mainstream, um, there are different like the structure of the temple is based upon different elements. So the few elements are like, the one is the climatic factors, the other one is the activities which is happening over there, and the rituals which is happening over there. So based on this, the planning and the construction material is being decided. So the locality of the place also decides the construction material which is used in the temples. And the evolution has been starting from the structural part, from the rocket temples to the structural part. It keeps on changing. Whenever a new dynasty comes into picture, they used to have a different kind of architecture, because they travel places, they used to see elements over there, they come and implement here, they call the sculptors from some other place, they will call the artsmen from some other place, and they'll experiment a new temple over here. Excuse me. So that is how the evolution happened. So that is the first phase we are going to see. So start before for that thing, we need to trace back to the Vedic civilization. So Vedic civilization is Vedic period, and we used to have all kind of barrel roof huts, and circular huts will be there, and it is all like, it's a closed commune space will be there. They used to have gateways kind of stuff. So the yellow color one which I have highlighted here, I think you can be able to see. So this is the gateway to a Vedic village. So this has been taken from Satish Grover book. It's an image which is there in that book, and Satish Grover is a book. It's a author's name. The book name is Buddhist and Hindu Temple Architecture. Okay, so this is the picture which has been taken from that. So it's image of a Vedic village. So this village, this entrance gateway is having a like an elevated portal kind of stuff. See, if you notice there, the animals will be coming through that entrance gateway. So it is like, if whenever they want to close it, they used to move the horizontal vertical sticks over it, and it will just pull down, and the entrance will be closed. So it is somewhere around, which happened in the 1500 to 600 BC. Okay, the same element has been replicated, the same element has been reproduced in the Sanchi Stupa. So if you see this element, it is Sanchi Stupa. In the internal structure and all, it's the same. That is based on the Buddhist philosophy. But the entrance gateway, if you notice, can you see the same resemblance? So it will be having the three sticks over here, and it is also having these three horizontal elements which is made up of stone, and it is also meant to be the gateway to the Sanchi Stupa. This Torana will be there in the all four directions of the Sanchi Stupa. Okay, so this is one evolution which I noticed in the way from which has been carried forward from Vedic civilization to the Buddhist architecture. Okay, the next one is about the Buddhist architecture and the Chaitya halls. So this there is something interesting which we found with the Chaitya halls. So Chaitya halls we have seen in Sanchi, sorry, we have seen in Karli, that is in Ellora caves. It will be there. It is also a rocket structure, and if you notice the structure, the element of the appearance and structure of the Sanchi Stupa, it will be having a barrel roof. So this barrel roof, it is a similar resemblance from the huts of the Vedic village. So that is also one similar thing which we noticed in the Buddhist architecture. And when seeing this Chaitya halls, there will be a Santi Stupa at the end of, and there will not be any other ventilation and all. And in the entrance, there will be a small horseshoe archway, and through this horseshoe archway only the sunlight will be falling on the Santi Stupa, and it is all comes under the Buddhist planning and principles as well. Okay, so this is the second evolution. The first one is the entrance gate to the Sanchi Stupa and the individual hut units to the Chaitya hall. So the next one is the second and third evolution is that now the Buddhist monuments are there and all those are happening. The rocket structures have been built here and there. The mountains have been carved and the elements, the structures have been used for all those happening. The next stage is that they thought of having an enclosed space for the deity which they are worshipping. So these kind of temples are very rare now, because whenever we build a temple, we have a entrance gopuram will be there, we have a pradakshina path will be there, and one mandapam, two mandapam, three mandapams will be there, and two to three pradakshina paths will be there. Each side they'll be having one entrance gopurams will be there. So it all varies. But this one is about the it's a single temple. It is just a temple with the mandapam attached to it. So you can see like a closed thing will be there. So and attached to that there will be a one single mandapa, one simple mandapa, and even the columns of those temple. This temple is actually located in Tigawa. Okay, so we can say this happened in the 5th century AD, and it's actually, you can say, Hindu temple with a single cella. So single cella or single shrine, whatever you say, that is all is fine. And they used to have a very it will be enclosed with massive walls, and in the inner Garbhagriha will be very dark. So they consider to be the Garbhagriha to be a very sacred place, and that they don't have any kind of lighting and ventilation getting into that space. So it also resembles the superstructure resembling the mountain. So because in Buddhist architecture we saw that, right? In the rocket structure they used to carve the rocks over there, and they used to have the caves of the Ellora, and they used to have the Chaitya halls. So similarly, the next stage of evolution will be of the single cella, which has been carved out of, which has been resembling the mountain structure of it. So it is a small inner sanctum will be there, and attached to it will be a mandapam, just simple structure. So people will be coming here, they'll used to stand in this mandapam. If not, if it is overcrowded, they'll just stand outside of the temple. So this is the first stage of like simple mandapam which we see in this is actually done in the Gupta's period. Okay, so the next one is the Latkan temple. I have just taken the examples for each stages. Like it is like tracing the back the history with certain examples. Like it is just an assumption. This is how it should have been traveled with supporting documents collected from the relevant sources. So that is how I have done this session. Okay, so the next one is the Latkan temple. So for Latkan temple, you can just say it is actually evolved from the village panchayat hall. So it is actually built on the concept of house of God. So this term is very important. It's actually called as house of God. So what they taught is they don't know, they don't know how to build a temple for their own deity. So what they taught, there will be a big house, there will be a big hall which is all, what to say, architecturally very well, and they thought in that resembling that structure you can have this kind of this temple. So that is their idea. So when you see this village panchayat hall, it will be of bamboo, it will be made up of bamboo and wooden sticks, and it will be having a pradakshina path, sorry, corridor surrounding it. So this is the center image I have drawn here. So this is also taken from this sketch is actually drawn by me, but the source which we have taken from us, it is from this Buddhist and Hindu temple architecture, that is by Satish Grover. So it is a very very nice book. If possible, you can just get it and read it. So it will be very easy for us to understand, and I can relate the elements from our day-to-day lives as well. So this is the Panchayat hall, and it is actually made up of wooden sticks and bamboos, and it will be having the thatch roof at the top. It is all there, and there will be a small opening at the center with the projected opening will be there, and it will be an open corridor all around. And there will be all elements will be there. This one is the projected portico which is attached in the front. Okay, So this is the village panchayat hall. So okay, fine. They said, okay, let's build a temple with having village panchayat hall as a prototype. So that is their idea. So what they did, this is the Latkan temple, and if you notice this image, so if you see this image, one second, yes, you can see sticks, wooden sticks, like wooden kind of sticks arranged on the roof of the Latkan temple, but it's not actually wooden sticks, it is actually stone. So what they did is they actually replicated, like they created an exact prototype of the village panchayat hall. So that is the reason why they used to have this kind of wooden kind of stone work on the roof of it. So, and similarly they also have this kind of projected top. Can you see this? So this is the central courtyard in the village panchayat hall, and similarly they also have a like projected top, projected kind of mandap on the top of the Latkan temple. Okay, so this is the like the resemblance with, and similarly this one is having an open corridor. Actually, Latkan temple also had an open corridor, but later on, because of the harsh sunlight outside, what they did is they covered the entire open space, and they had a jali work here. So I have highlighted the jali work here. So this is the yellow thing, no, on both the sides. So you can see the jali work. So if you see the images of Latkan temple, you can notice that structure also. So for that, people, because when they come and worship here, they used to come around this temple. So if it is very open and if it is very hot, they will not be able to come around the temple. So they thought, so it should be closed, and also it should have lighting applied to it. So that is the reason why they closed it, and they had the jali work on both the sides of the Latkan temple. And similarly, as this one is having a slope roof, and even this one is also having a slope roof, so this allows the rainwater to drain off easily. And this is the same temple, the same panchayat hall is also having a projected portico. And similarly, this Latkan temple is also having a 12 pillared porch projected outward from the main temple, and this serves as the axial stairway. There will be a staircase here, and this leads to the exact direct access to the center of the temple. Okay, so it was actually built as a place of gathering. Okay, so this is the next evolution which we have traced out from the village panchayat hall to the Latkan temple. Okay, so the next one is the Durga temple. So Durga temple, similarly, it is actually a structure which is, like, if you see the image itself, you can just find out it is as such as similarly to that of the Chaitya hall, because it is having an apsidal end, and at the end it will be having a stupa. Similarly, Durga temple will also have a apsidal end, and at the end there will be a Vishnu. So Durga temple is not for Durga; it is actually for Vishnu. Okay, so it is actually the name given like that, and it's actually a Vishnu temple. So it will be having resemblance to that of the Chaitya hall. So similarly, you'll be seeing that, and even it stands on a high pedestal. And instead of having the jali work, what they did is, so they have the jali work here in the Latkan temple. They close the entire wall, and they have the perforated jali work. But in terms of Durga temple, what they planned is they thought of having a corridor with columns. So it's called a colonnaded corridor. So it will be open, but it will be having roof at the top, and it will be having a parapet wall all around it, but it will be supported by the columns all around the temple. So it is actually kind of semi-open. Okay, so it also provides lighting and ventilation, and it will be shaded as well. So that is the idea of this kind of structures. See, this one which we see now, the temples which we see now, it's like, okay, fine, it's easy. They used to walk in the path, it's all fine, but the thought process which was there before was interesting. So how they emerged from the different stages of temples, so that is very interesting. So we are just trying to link with the like the elements which is like how they use the elements to develop the temple structures. Okay, so this evolution is about the Chaitya halls and the Durga temple. And this Gobram at the top was actually an addition at the later stage. It doesn't have a Gobram at the top. So that is the reason why it is actually partially destroyed. It doesn't have a Gobram at the top. It's like a Gobram of Viman. Gobram is actually a term for different entrance. So you can't call it as a Gobram, sorry, it is a Vimana. So it is actually not planned when it was constructed. So it was a later addition, and it was not just fitting the entire like the temple. So it was actually destroyed later. Yes. Yes. So we have seen the Latkan temple. We have seen the Vedic village, how it evolved, and the Chaitya Hall, and the single Sela temple, how it was there, Latkan temple, and the Durga temple. And later on, now fine, like somehow the temples have started to be constructed. The construction have been started. So what they taught, like how, what, from where and all, the idea of Vimana is the term which is used in southern India, and Shikara is the term which is used in the northern India. That is the Nagara style. So the idea of shikara, when you see a shikara of either in Linglaraj temple or any other Orison temples or a Nagara style temples, you wouldn't see a temple shikara in a like a curved structure. Curved form of shikara will be there. Okay, so it is also it is derived. It is said that it is to be derived from the chariot. So chariot is actually a wooden structure, and the chariot is a thing which is being used by kings and rulers to travel from one place to another. In terms of war also, they use those chariots or rathas are it's a semi language, like it's a English and come Tamil language, it's ratha we used to say. Okay, so when you see that structure, this Vimana Sharas has also been evolved from that kind of structure. So it is one evolution which I have noticed, and they have the structure, and then they had the step pyramid form. So they first this shikara was there, and then they used to have the step in there, and they had introduced a dome at the top of it. So when they introduced the dome at the top of it, that became Vimana. So that one we can see it in the Brihadishwara temple. Fine. And what happened is Garbhagriha was there in the one part of the temple, and then the Garbhagriha was there in the center, and then now it has been moved to the one end of the temple. And around the temple, they started to introduce pradakshina paths. So there were one pradakshina paths, and later on, what happened? There were successive traditional pradakshina paths were added by the later dynasties. Like if one ruler was ruling and he built a small temple with one singular pradakshina path, what we'll do? The next ruler will, when he defeats him and he take over the place, what he thinks? Okay, fine, he has done this much. I should do more than that. So what I'll build a bigger pradakshina path with bigger gopurams. So that is how the temple started to like evolve, started to increase in size. Okay, so that is how the temple grows. I can say it is like growth of the temples. That is also a relevant term, and this is one development. And apart from that, what they did, there'll be one Garbhagriha, and the next one will be of a single mandapam will be there. And okay, fine, he would have included one mandapam. And when the next consecutive ruler he came, what he will do? He will be adding one more mandapam to the next to it. So to be like a train boxes added to it. So that is also one way where the structure of the temple grows. So in apart from being a worshipping place, it started to become a place of gathering. So it is a place where people used to come, have their time, and it's like a meeting space, it's a gathering space. It becomes become a public space. Okay, so that is how the temple started to grow. Okay, fine. So now it's all the temples have been there started to develop. So now they started to categorize the temples based on the Shilpa Sastra. So Shilpa Sastra is nothing but the architecture based on the style of the temples. The temples have been categorized. Apart from that, there are different categories. So apart from from this Shilpa Shastra itself, apart from these three, other subcategories also are. But these are the three main categories which we have. As this one we already know. So Nagara, Dravidian, and Vesara. So Nagara is the one which is there in the northern part of India. Dravidian is there in the southern part. Vesara is there in the central and the Deccan region. And Nagara style is of North Indian style. It will be having a shikar, and it will be having a excuse me, mandapams attached to it, and it will be standing on a raised platform. And that is the style of Nagara style. The next one is the Dravidian architecture. So Dravidian architecture will be having an enclosed structure, and entrance gateways will be there, and those entrance gateways are called as gopurams. And the temple, the Garbhagriha will be having Vimana structures, an elevated pyramidal structure that is called as Vimanas, and the Vimanas will be having a dome at the top. So these are the characteristics of Dravidian architecture. The Vestra architecture is also a raised platform. It is actually mix of Dravidian and Nagara styles. What happens is the planning will be in terms of Dravidian. Mostly it will be like that. Planning will be most of Dravidian style, and the elevation part will be of most of Nagara plus Dravidian architecture clubbed together. So that is how it has been planned. And so these are the three major categories which you see in the classification of temples in terms of Shilpa Sastra. That is the architecture of temples. Okay. So as today's session is all about the Dravidian temple, so we are streamlining the session, streamlining the study part into one single architecture, that is the Dravidian architecture. So in Dravidian architecture, so you can't just conclude like only this are the features of Dravidian architecture, because the different rulers ruled the southern part of India, and each individual ruler framed its own style of architecture, right? So let's see what are the rulers. Like this also will be known by you. But just like what to say, recollection of what you know. And it is like the Pallavan architecture. The first which came to picture is the Pallavan architecture. So this Pallavan architecture, it's actually they have two early Pallavas will be there, later Pallavas will be there. The early Pallavas concentrated more on rock cut structures. So rock cut temples or rock cut structures are nothing but which has been carved out of a single rock. It's a monolith. So that's only called as rock cut temples. And for example, we can just say Pancha Pandava Rathas, and which is in Mahabalipuram. So that is one example for rock cut temples. The next one is the example is the Kailasanatha, like the structural temples. Structural temple is nothing but the temple which we have it now. It is like stones clubbed together. We have the arrangement of different stones, joints. So that is how it happens. It's a structural temple. And for example, we can say Shore Temple and Kailasanath Temple, which is in Kanchipuram. So these are the examples of short structural temples. So this is Pallavan architecture. The next one is the Chola architecture. So what happens when talking about Pallava architecture, the structures are all like very monolith. So they are just taking from the Chaitya walls. When you see this, I forgot to say, in this Pallava architecture itself, the Pancha Pandava Rathas is there, right? In that, there is one Bhima Ratha. When you analyze the structure of the Bhima Ratha, that will be exactly same as that of the Chaitya hall. So it will be having the same kind of barrel roof will be there. It will be an elongated structure. It will be having pillars along the corridors. The entire structure will be same that of the Chaitya hall. So that is one resemblance. So because these are the early stages of temple architecture. So all they take references is from the Buddhist architecture. Okay. So that is, and they used to have all monolithic structures, and they concentrate this is the time period when they started to concentrate on the gobrams and vimanas of the like the vimanas of the temples. Like that is, the vimanas is nothing but the pyramidal tower which is on the top of the Garbhagriha. That is only called as vimana. Okay, because Gobram is different. Gobram is nothing but it's actually a Tamil term. It's like Gopuram. It's like the way. It is like Go means like go in Tamil is like the king. So Puram is the way. So it's like it is giving the way to the king. So the entrance gateways are called as Gopuram. Okay. So that later on added in the Pandya dynasty. So till then they didn't have any entrance gateways or no. Excuse me. They used to have in the what to say, Chola dynasty, they used to have entrance gateways, but that will not be even more like it will not be in a grandeur manner. But when you see in Pandyan architecture, the entrance gateways will be of very grandeur. It will be of all ornamented. It will be having all different levels of stories will be there, and it will be having kasa at the top. And I'll show you the picture of it, and then you'll be able to like relate to it. Okay, so this is the Pallava architecture. The next one we say when it comes to the timeline is the Chola architecture. Um, Chola architecture is actually said to be the finest, modest proportions. Like the temple architecture attained its what to say, proper balance and style will be there in this times of architecture, and it will be a walled enclosure. So what happened? The temple was considered to be a place of defense. Like in terms of emergency, in terms of any invasion, people used to rush up to the space and they used to gather in the space. And because when you notice in Bradishra temple, there will be a moat around the temple. A moat is a water body around the temple. So like the entrance gateways will be very high in, like very high. So only if you release the entrance gateways, you'll be able to cross the that you'll be getting to the temple. So which means like it's considered to be, in terms of emergency, it has been used for a like what to say, safe. So people used to rush up to this place, and once the door is locked, people cannot get into that temple. And even in Vishwa temple, they used to have a underground tunnel which connects from here to the Rajaraja Chola's palace. So to different places they had the underground tunnel. So these are the things which they had for, in terms of escapism, like for them to safeguard themselves in terms of emergency, in terms of invasions. They used to have this kind of places. So when you say Chola architecture, it is all like fully developed with all terms of proportion. Even in proportion also, you can say the Gobram result says so, because it is a very grand structure. It will be having a cube at the top and pyramidal at the cube at the bottom and pyramid at the top, and with the cupola at the topmost part of it. So it is a very balanced, properly designed, properly arranged structure, which says about the like the works of Chola people. Okay. So the next one, and other examples I've given here, that is the Vijayalaya Choleshwaram, Brihadishwara, Gangekonda Choleshwaram, Gangekonda Cholapuram, Airadeshwara temple, Kampaneshwara temple, and Nataraja temple. Nataraja temple is a mix of different dynasties. So the so next one is the Pandya architecture. So now the temple has been attained a good level. So what they did is, their next thing is the for enclosure for security reasons. So this one itself is Brihadishwara itself. I'm saying it is for the security and defense. But when coming to Meenakshi Amman temple, that has been even more thing, because the entrance gateways have been emphasized. So the entrance archways have been given more what to say, like more ornamentation, and the gopurams were there in all the four directions of the archways. Okay, so that is how the Pandya architecture developed. And Pandya architecture, say for example, if Meenakshi Amman temple is concerned, it is actually there will be one full separate chamber for Meenakshi will be there, and one separate chamber will be for Sundareshwaran. And there will be open spaces here and there, and there will be a water tank, and many other elements and mandapams will be there in the entire complex. So the temple architecture became a temple complex arrived in this kind of Pandya architecture. Okay, so the next one is the Nayak architecture. So when talking about Nayak architecture, it is not what to say, it is not like they didn't have a separate temple to build. We can't say Nayak people built this separate temple. They built this Tirunelveli Naike Mahal. That is one common Mahal which they built. But in terms of temple, because they came once after this Muslim invasion. So what happened is, like, they started to reconstruct which are all been destroyed. So wherever they go, which if a temple is destroyed, or if something has been like dismantled, so they'll construct a separate like they will take that place into control, and they'll develop that temple. So that is how you can see the works of Nayak dynasty in many temples. So even in Meenakshi Amman temple, you can say the Nellaiappar temple, which we are going to see, that is also a part of Nayak dynasty's renovation. And apart from that, you can see Srivilliputturu temple is also there, and Andal temple is there, no? So that is also one kind of Nayak period. And even in Ranganathan Swami temple also, one part will be coming under Nayak invasion. So Ranganathan temple and Meenakshi Amman temple, it's a temple complex. You can actually call it as a temple city itself. So in Srirangam Ranganathan Swami temple, it's like we'll be having like 11 pradakshina path, like the rings will be there. So 11 gateways will be there. So it is like 11, I'm not sure with the numbers, but it will be having a full complex. Even this the entire rings will be having shops and settlements around that place. So it's actually considered to be a temple city. So that is how they plan. So in terms of this Nayak, and whenever they take the renovation part, they used to have their own sculptures. This sculpture with a like what to say, some bun in the near the ear. So this structure is actually meant to be a style of Nayak people. So whenever you see this structure, it can be identified that so it has been like renovated by the Nayak dynasty. So this is the evolution, which is the first part we have seen now. So the next part is the Nellaiappar temple. So we are going to see the climatic responsive principles, which has been incorporated in the Nellaiappar temple, and like how and all they incorporated lighting and illumination into that temple spaces. So it's a very we have seen that in day-to-day lives and all, but we have not noted it. So we just made an attempt to note down all those structures, and we have just incorporated in the plans of the Nellaiappar temple. Okay, so it is actually built by the Pandyan ruler Nindrasir Nedumaran, and the goddess here is Gandhimati Amman, and the god here is Nellaiappar. So it comes from the name, and the name of the Tirunelveli, it's a different story. So you can just like read about it and get to know, because that's a very different story. And actually the Gandhimati temple is not being constructed during the 7th century. Constructed later on, and it was connected by a chain mandapam. Used to call it in Tamil, it's actually called as Sangili Mandapam. It's actually a proper Tamil term, and it's actually in English it's called as chain mandapam. And Nellaiappar is the avatar of Shiva, and Gandhimati Amman is the avatar of Parvati. Okay, and when talking about the this is the entire layout of Nellaiappar temple. It's actually a layout which I prepared for a better understanding of this temple. So when you draw the layout of a temple with different zones of it and mark it all over there, so I personally think it will be easy to understand. So that is why I made this. So this temple, when you see this, when the blue color coding which is there in the center of the temple, it is considered to be the innermost Garbhagriha, and it is the most sacred place of the temple, and that doesn't have any lighting and ventilation. So the next layer is the yellow color. This yellow color represents Pradakshina paths. Okay, so this yellow color, which is there in this temple, is this one. It is the first circumambulatory path or Sapradakshina path of the Nellaiappar temple. So this part is considered to be the Nellaiappar path, and this one is the Gandhimati Amman temple. Okay, so this Pradakshina path is actually been ventilated by means of clerestory windows, light wells, and chimneys. So we'll be seeing all those elements in the next slides. And at the back of it is the Tamira Sabai. So there's actually 5 sabais for Lord Shiva. Each individual sabai is there in each individual temples. So Tamira Sabha is nothing but the copper Sabha. Tamira Sabha is nothing but the place where the Lord Shiva used to dance. So it's actually meant for different styles of dance in different places. There are 5 sabhas. So one among the sabha is the Tamira Sabha, which is located in Nellaiappar temple. Apart from that, it is in Nadarajar, which is the Portamarai Sabai, and Kutralanathan is one more Sabai, and 2 more are there. I'm not sure with the names. So this one among which is the Tamira Sabha. It has been the space has been located just behind the Nellaiappar temple. So I will be showing that images also. So when coming to the southern side of the temple, so both the temples are east facing. So this will be east facing. This will be slightly tilted because it's a late addition to it. When you come to this southern part of the entire temple complex, you can see here the this pink color thing. It's a mandapam. It's actually called as chain mandapam. As I told you earlier, this mandapam is being constructed to connect the Nellaiappar temple and the Gandhimati Amman temple. So it is just a connection between, it is just a mandapam which has been constructed to connect both the temples. Okay, so I'll be showing the images of those mandapams also, because we're going to study the climatic principles in different places of these temples. And because of this is very interesting chain mandapam, because it will be having a water tank on one side and garden spaces on the other side. So a little bit of climatic study has been done in this main particular chain mandapam. Then this one is the Meenakshi Amman, sorry, Gandhimati Amman temple, and this is the main Garbhagriha, and around which the Pradakshina path has been designed. So this is the entire structure which has been described. Like apart from that, there are many other temples, many other shrines are there, like plenty of shrines, nearly I would say 70 to 80 shrines I can map in this image, but that becomes too little bit religious. So I thought of having just the architectural part, so I marked only this. Okay, so we'll move to the next one. Yes, now there are 5 parameters taken. So the first one is the clerestory windows. The second one is the chimneys. The third one is the temple tanks in open spaces. And fourth one is the pradakshina path corridors. The fifth one is the light wells. So these are the elements I have taken and I have studied studied the principles of this temple. So let's see what are there. So the first one is the clear story windows. Yes. So this window, the red ones, no, the red ones when you see in this temple map. So I have marked the clear story windows. So these are the places where you can see clear story. You know what, like clear story are nothing but the windows which are given at the top of the near the top of like just below the roof. So those are called as clear story windows. I can show you the image here. So this is the image of clear story window. Excuse me. So what happens is it is actually, I told you, this one is a very interesting thing because I have done a small illustration here. So this is the chain mandapam here. Okay, and this side is the tepakulam, that is the water tank, and the other side is the garden space. So what happens, hot air rises up and cold air gets in. So when you have the clear story windows at the top, this hot air escapes through the clear story windows. I've marked it here, right? Can you see? So the hot air is escaping through this clear story windows, and being it near the tepakulam and it has been placed in the wind direction, what happened, the wind which is passing through the water body will take you cold air and it will get in through this space. When you have clear story windows on both the sides, you can it will just get into this chain mandapam, and the cool air will be filled in this space. So hot air will be rising up and getting out through the clear story windows, and again through the other part of the side, the water tank, the cold air gets into that space, and the entire corridor, the entire mandapam will be filled in with the like the cold air. So that is one thing we noticed there. Every time when we go, it will be a very chill, like it will be very cold, and like it will be very, what to say, it's not like cold, we can't say cold also, but we won't feel any kind of suffocation in that space. It will be very what to say, pleasant to be there in place, because you will not feel any kind of suffocation or any kind of sweating in that place, because all the hot will be escaping through the clear story window and the cold escapes through the tepakulam, the chain mandapam. Okay, this is the first clear story window. These are things we noticed in that Nellaiappar temple. The next one is the chimney. So chimneys are nothing but it is similar to that of the clear story windows. So, but the main thing to be noted is clear story windows will be there along the roof, but the chimneys will be like projected apart up from the roof. So if it's, this is a small illustration section which I've done so that it'll be easy for us to understand. So it'll be having a projected thing here, and the the hot air escapes through this part of the projected thing. So that is the same thing. The hot air will be rising up, and cold air will not be having any place to get inside, but the hot air will be rising up because these chimneys are located in the inner part of the pradakshina path. So if you notice the places where I marked it, so the red ones, no, I have marked here and there. So these are the places where the chimneys are placed. So it is like inside the first zone of the pradakshina path. So when you feel very hot and suffocation, these chimneys help us to have a help us to breathe freely. So that is the one reason. That is the main reason why these chimneys are present in the inner parts of the pradakshina path. Yes. The next one is the open spaces. Again, so then talking about the open spaces, we have mapped the garden spaces here, colored here, and we have found the percentage of it. So the 70% of built spaces are there in the Nellaiappar temple, and in Gandhimathi Amman temple it is 58. In open space in Nellaiappar is little less when compared to the Gandhimathi Amman temple. So because open space Nellaiappar is 28 and Gandhimathi Amman is 42. Okay. So similarly, as I told in that case itself, so there is a tepakulam. That is a tepakulam is a term which is used in Tamil. It's actually called as water tank, temple tank. Okay. So along the corridors, so what happens when you see here, the red color indicates hot air. So when it comes, it falls in the water, and again when it gets into the corridor, into the main columns of it, it turns as blue, which is said to be cold air. So that is how the ventilation happens in the along the temple spaces. Yes. So this one thing which we noticed there, because it creates a microclimate in that zone. So And yes, the next one is the Pradakshina path and the corridor. So this is the uh, like the I have marked the corridors and the Pradakshina paths here. So one thing I would like to bring to your notice is that this Pradakshina path is having a corridor. It's not just the Pradakshina path. Many of you have visited many temples. You'll just go around the temple. It will be like one single floor will be there. But this one, when you notice here, so this will be having uh, a raised level on both the sides of the Pradakshina path. That is the circumambulatory path. So this raised level will be running as a separate corridor. So this will be there for the central space will be there for the people to walk. But the raised platforms on both the sides will be meant for people to sit. They used to have, they used to do their rituals over there. Family gatherings happen over that place. So it's a very interesting space. We'll find it there because it is not along with the Pradakshina path. If it is there along with the Pradakshina path, people you used to walk in that space also. But this one gives a separate, that level difference will gives a separate boundary which has been marked there. So it will be like like the this image, no, which is there in the bottom. So this one is actually shows the corridor. This is not the Pradakshina path. This one which is there in the end, this one is the Pradakshina path. This is considered to be the corridor. So both the sides will be having pillars of it, and at the end there will be garden spaces. So it will be a very wonderful thing to walk along that structure, along that zone, because I was marked here, no, right? Can you see here? This one is the Pradakshina path here, and the one I have given here, I have pointed with dot 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 things are there, no? Those are the columns placed here. So that is the corridor. So this is the corridor. This is the corridor. This is an open space, and this is also an open space. So both the sides of the corridor, there will be garden spaces. So it will be very, very, very nice to walk along that space. So this also gives a ventilation to the entire Pradakshina path. So the inner path doesn't have ventilation. So for that reason only, we used to have this clear story windows and chimneys here and there. So, but in terms of the outer Pradakshina path, it has been naturally ventilated by means of open spaces, which is being provided on the sides of the Pradakshina path. Okay. Yes. The last one. This is the last design strategy which I noticed in that temple. That is a light well. So light well is nothing but what they did is they have just given, like, when there is no option to provide lighting and ventilation, they just removed one slab in the main roof of the temple, and the light has been allowed to come inside. So if you see this is the light well which has been introduced there because there is no other option to provide ventilation, lighting and ventilation. And when you notice here, see how much light is getting into space because they are given a bigger span of light well. And these are the zones where the light wells have been present. So I have marked here. So this is only called as light well. The next last thing is the tunnel effect. So the tunnel effect, it is actually a very beautiful sight to notice. So I told you, no, it is this Nellaiappar temple is actually a Tamira Sabha. So Tamira Sabha is nothing but it's a copper Sabha. Sabha is nothing but the place where it is believed that Nataraja danced here. Okay. So at the end, there will be a mandapam. So this is the Tamrai Sabai mandapam, and is entirely made up of, the roof is made up of copper, and this one is inside. No, these structures are made up of wooden structure. These are wooden structures. So this entry, this is the second image I have kept here. No, this image is actually the entry to that temple. So it's actually, it leads to that temple. It doesn't have any kind of ventilation. It doesn't have any kind of lighting. But what it gives you is, it gives you a suspense. So it's like see, this is the place the Tamra Sabha is present, just behind the Nellaiappar temple. You'll be just walking around the Pradakshina path. You'll be worshipping all other gods. All other shrines will be there. So what happens is, you'll just come and one among the Pradakshina path, there'll be one more turn, and you'll get into that space. So you will not be able to find out what is there at the end till you reach near the place. So it is like a in architecture, there's one term we used to call as looped entrance, like closed entrance. So it is like, it gives you an entrance and it leads to that place, but it's all closed. So at the end only you will get to know the dynamics of it. Okay. And the temple, like it's actually approached by columns on both the sides and a roof at the top. So it also gives you an expression like it's like the Tamra Sabha will be standing at the top end of it, and there'll be no ventilation. So what happens? So this one will be having more of pressure. So the pressure, like air pressure, just rushes into that space. Can you understand? Like, because the like whenever the wind, there is an opening, the air used to rush into that space. So that is why this part of the temple is all ventilated, because this is an open space. The Tamara Sabha is standing in an open space, and this is a corridor, a closed corridor. So that's only it's called as tunnel effect. So it is actually enters through that the entire tunnel, and then it ends there. So the force will be like there'll be a push in that entire tunnel. So that is how the ventilation has been achieved in this space. So these are the different strategies which we analyzed in Nellaiappar temple. And apart from that, there are many other elements to be noted. There is one more important thing which I didn't mention in this session because it is not relevant to it. There is one set of, like, there are musical pillars which is there in Nellaiappar temple, just like in the entrance of the Nellaiappar shrine. So it will be having a club in the musical pillars will be clubbed here and there. And when you stamp it, when you like just ring it, each and individual pillar will produce individual like sound. So it is very interesting to watch that. If possible, if you can just watch it, and if you can also see the musical pillars videos which is available in the like Google platforms. And thank you, and this is my session, and if you have any doubts you can just ask.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. AG, this is a wonderful session for all because I heard about Tirunelveli because of our Dr. John sir, who was lived with me here. But now this wonderful temple, we enjoyed a lot here. So
Thank
if
you
there
so
are
much.
any questions, most welcome. Yes, yes, really.
Thank you so much.
Any questions? Callers and participants, you can ask the questions. Vishnu temple, but what is the reason for calling this
It's
temple?
actually, yes, Durga temple. It's not actually by the name Durga. It is actually fort. There is one term called Durga or Darga. It's meant to be a fort.
Durga means fort.
Dur
Durga
means
means
fort.
totally
So that
Arthashastra.
has been converted as Durga temple. It's actually a Vishnu temple.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, most welcome.
Any other questions?
Other scholars? This is actually a very new topic for all of us. So we know such type of such systems are there, but we are not really serious for to think about this. Few words we just listen in Shiv Shankar Babu sir's lectures, but first time this entire temple and the systems we studied over here. So yes, thank you. Any more
Thank you, sir.
questions? Then most welcome. Yes, Rashmi Ayagiri, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am, amazing session. I want to say it
Thank
was
you.
really knowledgeable because the link which you showed between the Buddhist architecture and the Vedic architecture, when we compare the Chaitya Hall, okay, we have learned, but we never compared it. It was the first time that we saw how all the architectures, maybe probably in those days, they must have also studied, and how the community came and the ventilation parts,
Yes, ma'am.
the air and the cool air and the hot air, matlab, we never thought about those things, ki the way the architecture has been designed. It was really very informative, very nice.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
so
Thank
much.
you so. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Here in
Yes,
chat box there is
Ramya Durga temple shaped like Buddhist stupa. Is it try to mix Buddhism and Hinduism? It is actually not try to mix of it. It is actually evolved from it. So they see something, and they try to replicate the prototype of it. That's it. It's not like a mix. So if you say mix, we can say Indo-Saracenic. That is a different thing. But this one is not. You can't say it a mix. It is just the evolution from the Buddhism, and they have tried to incorporate in the Hindu temple. That's it. Yes.
Thank you. Any other? Any more questions? If there are any material for reading about this temple or such type of the structures, then please share it with us so that
Sure.
our participants also will study it.
Sure,
So
sure, sir.
yes, if there are no any questions, then may I, if you, with your kind permission, may I ask a question?
Yes, sir, sure.
Yeah. Is there any other such type of the temples over there in this particular region in Nellaiappar?
This is actually a big temple in Nellaiappar, sir. Nellaiappar temple is the main thing. Apart from that, if you say there is one temple in Tenkasi, it's actually a Tirunelveli district, the same district, and that is known as if I'm not wrong, Kasi Vishwanatha temple, right? Yes, that is also a big temple, and you can have a detailed study in that temple also. And apart from that, there's one more temple. Like this is one big temple in Nellai, like in Nellai district. There are a few temples which are not of this much big scale, but it is having a very what to say, historic background in it. There is one more temple in the same Tirunelveli. It is actually a Murugan temple. It will be there in the banks of the river Tamirabarni. And you can also see guards near the settlement. So what happens is there will be a mandapam in the main river of the Tamirabarni. So when the flood comes, the entire mandapam will be submerged in it, and they will just shift the vigraham from there and to the temple which is there in the banks of it. And once the flood has been gone, once subsides, again the deity will be shifted to the main temple. It's actually a very wonderful place to watch because it will be there along the ghats of it. So the entire stretch will be there having the ghats, and it will be having all mandapams in between the ghats, and all the ceremonies and the rituals have been performed in the space. Culturally, it's a very vibrant space.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thanks a lot. Here, one more thing I just want to mention that the river name also I was heard Tamraparni. So इसके बारे में भी बहुत कुछ सुना है और इसका वाटर के बारे में, उसका क्वालिटी के बारे में भी बहुत बातें सुनी है, but it's not visited these places. So
Yes, sir.
definitely when I will come,
Yeah, visit for sure,
definitely.
sir. There's a lot more to explore and experiment in that place.
Yes. So these all are our architectural wonders, and
Yes, sir.
definitely we visit and we'll try to study it more and more. So we need the students of history or the heritage studies and architecture as well. So
Yes.
it's need of this combined study. Otherwise, what will happen actually? We just study the history part, like these kings or these dynasties built these things and this only.
We need to
Otherwise,
relate both the things. That is more important.
yes. So for this purpose, this type of the sessions will be really useful for all of us. So humbly thankful to you again. And if in future
Thank you.
also, if you want to share anything, then please. So it's a really great opportunity
Sure.
to us for to learn.
Sure.
So once again, thank you. Thanks a lot to you. And a humble request before to left the session, please on your video if possible, so that we can take a group photograph. Humble request to the participants, if it's possible, please on your video for just half a minute. You can stand over any place or you can sit any place at any place, just on your video. जिनको भी पॉसिबल है कृपया अपना वीडियो ऑन कीजिए. Yes. For a minute. जिनको भी पॉसिबल है, अनीता, बेम्बे जी, रमेशजीत सरकार जी, रोहिणी पनीकर जी, श्वेता सिंह जी, हरीश शाह सर, दिव्या सैनी जी, स्नेफी जी, okay जी. Please on your video for a minute only.
My camera is
Sir, it is locked from your
Correct.
side, I think so.
Yes, sir.
Just a minute. Sorry. Just a minute. I will check. No, you can on it. Turn on the video. You can on it. Yes, now it's okay. Yes. Just a minute. You can also take the screenshot and you can share it with us so that it will be pleasure. Vinita Rajji, Meru Tiwari ji, Vaishali Guzar Madam, Tara Shankar Panda ji, Ratna Mucham ji, Disha Nalawade ji, Gauri Karlekar ji. If possible, please on your video. So humbly thankful to Tara Shankar Panda ji who started such type of the trend to deliver the lectures in such type of the sessions. And humbly thankful to Pungavati ji. Last time also we heard a beautiful, wonderful session by the scholars from Chennai only. So now this time also, so Tirunelveli, and it's a great pleasure for all of us. So if anyone else want to deliver your lecture, want to share your knowledge with all the participants, most welcome. So once again, I humbly thankful to Pungavati ji, and we will
Thank you
stop
so
here
much.
our today's session. Definitely we'll meet in next session.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. It actually was very informative for me to share my experience with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.